Hi everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to the respective part of the world. I'm Mihir Pujara, and welcome to BRiK Academy. You are watching episode 1 of our brand new series, Candid Conversation with Industry Expert. So the entire interaction is divided into 4 sections. So first we'll start with the corporate journey of our expert, followed by a few questions about industry trends. Section 3 is dedicated to the skills and capabilities that a pharma professional should acquire to build a successful career. And we'll end up with a very fun and engaging rapid fire round with the expert. So stay tuned till the end. And without further ado, let's get started. So today I'm extremely privileged to joined by an industry veteran with around 10 years of experience. He joined Cipla from an entry level and rise to the leadership level. So we are going to know a lot about his career journey, as well as the most interesting part is that recently he said goodbye to a steady paycheck and embark upon entrepreneurship journey. So that's also going to be a very interesting topic to know further about. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Umang Patel to BRiK Academy, episode 1 of Candid Conversation with Industry Experts. Welcome, Umang, to BRiK Academy.
Thank you, Mihir, for the great words. And as usual, it is good to be on a podcast with a friend and a school friend, actually. And hello to all
Indeed.
your audiences. Hopefully, you will find it insightful.
Great, great, Umang. So let's start from the very start, right? So tell me about your corporate journey and tell specifically whether it was pharma industry calling Umang or Umang calling pharma industry. How did that happen?
Well, I'll tell you honestly, when I look back, there were two things from the childhood I never wanted to do. One was going into pharma, and second was chemistry. I scored lowest in the chemistry in my 12th grade, and pharma was never in my scope. So it was by accident. Finished my B school and happened to be placed in a pharma, had no other option. So started with Cipla. And that's where my corporate journey started. And when I joined, it was completely blank. And also I joined in finance function, which was again, I scored lowest
Oh,
during my B school. So I never liked finance, or I wasn't a finance guy. But I also joined in the finance strategy team in Cipla. But again, that is also kind of an opportunity, right? Sometimes when you think what you want is not necessarily the right choice for you.
super, super. So you started from an entry level. Tell us more about how you navigated through different roles. And I think 10 years of career in one company, how you look at it.
Well, if I look at my first year at Cipla, while I would talk to many people and I would see them being in a company for 4 or 5 years, and I was like, no, I'm out after 2 years, 3 years, because that's how the startups or new age people do it. And I was like laughing that no, I'm not going to spend 10 years. But I ended up spending 10 years. And I think a lot more goes to my then manager. After first year, I went to him and I said, I'm not very happy. I want to start my company with a lot of complaints. And then he convinced me that three, four things he said. Number one was careers builds over time. Uh, so you need to give patience when you are in a large corporate. At an entry level, generally the challenge with a fresher MBA is that when they are out, they expect that they would be giving a very important roles, big projects to execute on their own, high accountability and high responsibility. But reality is that an entry level role, generally you do an analysis, you do a research, and 80% of the time, some of those analysis and research doesn't even get an actions on it. So it just becomes paper, and you start getting demoralized that your work is not being appreciated or it is not being considered. Uh, so he taught me that you need to build a career over a period of time, have some patience. This is how the corporate works. Secondly, about an accountability and ownership. So rather than saying that I would do the only certain kind of a work or I only want the best of the work, find whatever the work is available, the projects which nobody is taking, just take up those projects and deliver it to the best, even though if it is as simple as designing a process for order to cash cycle. And that's how actually you build your credibility in corporates. When you start delivering, not just the insights, not just talking sense and logics, but when you're actually delivering on those small projects, you start building an accountability that you are a guy who can actually get things done. And that's what actually helped me throughout my career of 10 years. Any of the projects which my manager would give me, I would always try my best that I have to be the best one to deliver it within the shortest of the possible timeline. The second part is a continuous learning. As I've said, I came with a completely non-background of my function, also from an industry. And then I still had to prove myself on those ones too before I switched to any other functions. So continuously learning after your job hours. Within the job, obviously, there is a learning. Companies will do probably very limited for you to coach, and especially when you are a 1 year old in an organization or a 2 years old in an organization. So find other projects. As an example, when I was into finance, project management, I bought myself a Six Sigma and started doing a Six Sigma course to learn the accounting and finance. Couple of books, one of our CFO suggested, Romancing with Balance Sheet as an example, a great book. Started reading those books by myself. In terms of a pharma, got some of the pharmacology books to understand the science behind the product development. Regulatory, downloaded the dossiers, sat with my RA team, and then went through each of the modules of the dossier, which was completely not the job scope. So continuously learn, be curious about the organization, about the company, about every function, get into the details of those, and that will give you a very 360-degree knowledge. It may not be important for your appraisal. Your appraisal are still limited to your scorecard. But overall, as an individual, it will develop you holistically. It will give you a holistic view of an industry. So if you ever want to be an entrepreneur after that, that knowledge will help you.
Completely agree, and totally echo what you said. Now I would like to switch gears and little bit know about from you joined, I think 10 years before, and throughout your corporate journey, and especially with the domestic pharma companies, right? How have you seen the pharma industry, the generic pharma industry to be precise, has evolved during this 10 years period?
See, overall, if we look at as a generic industry development, overall in a pharma, the development is a very slow, if you ask me, steady and slow, because the time for a new molecule innovation is 10 to 20 years, and then the genericization, and then the cost, and etc. Uh, uh, Again, still the industry's pulse is a product, by the way, product and innovation. Uh, Good thing is that the large companies now, when I talk within, let's say, last 5 years at least, things started changing is everybody is now looking for incremental innovations in a product. So if the product you need to take a 4 tablets a day, now many companies are developing extended release tablets or an older solution which you take a once in a day, which is a much more convenient from a patient side. Then secondly, companies are talking more about not just the medicines or not just selling the medicines to the doctor or the patient, but also through overall patient management. How do you make your treatment more compliant to a patient? So generally, on an average, let's say you require 30 tablets a day and 12 months prescription. If you look at the compliance rate, on an average, a patient would take only 10 or 11 months of a prescriptions versus 12 months what he should be taking it, right? So there is a lot more emphasis on how do we make patients more compliant to cure their treatment or at least maintain their disease levels, not to progress in case of diabetes, asthma, or cardiovascular disease. And then the third thing is overall distribution of medicines now. If you look at e-commerce is playing a major role, diagnostics are playing a major roles in terms of being more patient centricity. So that has overall involved. But this has been only these kind of growth. I have seen it only in the large pharmas, top 10 companies in India. They are rapidly changing gears. Versus when I look at 10 to 100 ranking companies, they are still there at a generic play where only focusing on the patent expiry products, focus on making those products the cheapest possible, or doing the same manufacturing and trying to meet the need. Nothing wrong with that because there is still a lot of unmet need to the patients. Still, basic medicines are not yet accessible and affordable. So we do need a both of the best of the world. 10% of the companies are doing excellent in terms of going there, while the 90% generic industry is still the same what was 10 years ago.
Yeah, truly agree. I think the boom towards specialty and what you mentioned as incremental innovation, I think that is going to shape the industry a lot in next 5 years to come. Right. Very nice. Now, I think I would like to switch to a topic which you would love to talk about, and that is entrepreneurship. So tell our viewers, after 10 years of corporate journey, right, it becomes very difficult to leave a steady paycheck. So what prepared you to dive into uncertainty and the world of, I would say, the world of unknown, right? How you prepared yourself for that? And do you think the corporate journey that you have led so far, right, has prepared you for the entrepreneurship? What lessons you would have drawn from your corporate journey?
So after my second or a third year of pharma, I went to my manager with an idea and I said I want to go towards a startup. And at that time, my idea was e-commerce pharmacies. I saw it in South Africa when I was there, where the medicines were home delivered, especially for an HIV patient. And I said I could replicate it in India. But when we looked at some of those companies in South Africa, they were all bleeding. And my manager said that, look, Umang, I mean, what you are coming with an idea at this point of time are all ideas which are looking great, right? But you still need to be prepared for it. So spend some more time in an organization, try your ideas within an organization, and I will give you that space and opportunities to play with those ideas. Nothing better than trying your idea onto some other place. And then once it is proven, you can move out of it. And that's exactly what he said. So entrepreneurship, I wanted to come to, and that's what I tell everyone in last 6, 7 months I have met. People ask me why entrepreneurship. I said, if you are here for money, probably if you are smart enough, putting your same skills in a corporate, monetary wise, more or less, if you do the risk versus reward, you will be at the same place within the 5 to 10 years of a time frame. If you do extremely well in a entrepreneurship, there the rewards is very high, but again, only 5% makes into that, right? So you need to consider that you will be within the 95%. So, and what corporate made me realize is that it taught me skill, it taught me technical skills. It also helped me establish my own network, and the most important part is the brand. It also helped me establish my own brand. Now, when I go and I talk to people for a funding, for a business, for a product, they are now valuing me way more than I would have been valued 10 years ago. So certainly this has been the greatest of the help. And now I realize when I look back that the other two ones, why it did not work, because I did not have all of this. So somebody who would want to be an entrepreneur, I think the safest bet they could take is after a decade of a time in a good corporate where you have spent your time establishing your network. Network is the real asset, if you ask me. You need to know, establish your network, build your brand, and then learn to monetize it. Secondly, it also teaches you the scale, how to not think of a 5 crore, 10 crore, or a 50 crore, but how to think of a 500 crore or 5,000 crores of a scale. And then obviously third is a large pharma or a large company strategies, how they think. And those are the learnings which are very valuable at this point. And when I decided to take out, I think the reason was I felt now this is the age at which I think I have an energy, I have necessary knowledge, I have acquired my network, I have enough of savings which can last me for 3 years. And then when I was talking to some of the people 5 to 10 years ahead of me, or say the elder than me, who were as equal intelligent, as knowledge, as skillful, and I asked them what their regrets were, and they said, "Now we are too old, we have family responsibilities, we can't get into it, but you can get into it, go for it." And then I realized that this is the time I have. If I ever want to do an entrepreneurship, this is the time. After probably 5 years, I may not have the energy. I would probably have way more family responsibilities, and I wouldn't be able to do it. So, but again, the fundamental is it is not that I went into an entrepreneurship because I was finding an escape from a corporate or I didn't enjoy the corporate. I think I enjoyed that as much as I'm enjoying an entrepreneurship. This is all I wanted to do. Never choose an entrepreneurship because current where you are is not working for you. I think that is the very wrong choice you are making it. You are moving from a negative to another negative, which may only become positive where the chances are only 5%, right? So your reasons to get into an entrepreneurship should be very clear, and also you should know your strengths. The most important part is to know your strengths, skills, and capabilities. And then you have to be very honest to yourself whether this is something I will be enjoying it and I'll be dealing with it or not.
I mean, you already mentioned about finance, but what are the different roles you have taken up during your corporate journey? And if you can iterate some of the most, I mean, challenging kind of roles or challenging period in your career, and have you basically managed that? What were the lessons learned?
Hmm. So I did finance, started with finance, then did a couple of mergers and acquisitions, included a divestiture of a business, then going front end in a sub-Saharan Africa, leading again the finance, new business development and strategy. Then I led a core strategy part for $100 million BU emerging markets and Euro, along with the CEO's office. And then I did a P&L role for emerging markets, a cluster, we were calling it a general exports cluster, largely a B2B side of a business. So I think I wouldn't say there was any specific challenging point, but whenever there was a shift from a one role to another role or a one territory to another territory, first 12 to 18 months were very rough. Very rough in the case is I had to put way more additional efforts to learn the territory, to learn the new role, get myself comfortable into it. And then had to work 12 hours, 14 hours, put my outside efforts to make sure to be successful in that role. But after, once you get the pulse of those roles, then those roles became very smooth.
Dedicated to aspiring pharma professionals who would like to build a career in generic pharma industry. What skills and capabilities do you think a pharma professional should acquire in the current context, right, in order to build a comprehensive and a successful career in pharma?
See, first understand the pulse of the pharma. I think over the period when I was into function roles, I thought functions are too important. Uh, not to undermine any of the functions, by the way. The power and the responsibilities, they are equally important to run a business. But the pulse of the business is a product, especially in a generic. Your ability to get the differentiated product, before everyone else is talking about. Uh, Launching that product first or the second to the market is the key. You are a third or a fourth, not there. And then the third is costing. You need to be ahead of the costing than everyone else. Uh, I can tell you what we see as an incremental innovation when I left my corporate and started an entrepreneurship, and this is the area which we focus on. Now I talk to 20 people, which includes the R&D centers, pharmaceutical companies, and everybody is talking about the same. What idea or what product idea which you are currently thinking about developing it, I can tell you at the same time, I know 10 people who are already thinking and probably one step ahead of me too, right? And this is the key in pharma. You get your product right to launch in the market. Pricings are still great in the generics. Margins for the first few years are still great. Even if there is a bit of a revenue leakage, let's say in terms of poor finance controls there and etc. Uh, you can still live with that because there is a healthy margins available to it. But understand the pulse, getting the right product, right timing, right price, and that I can tell you out of 10, you will be able to do only 2 or 3 of those ones when you take those 10 bets. But this is the pulse of an industry, so understand this first. Second, the most important and underrated and underspoken about is the regulatory and the quality. Knowing the country where you want to enter, the first barrier is to register your product, right? Without registration, you can't sell it, even if you have a register of a product. So understanding each of the countries' regulatory environments, compliances to sell that product, you can't really do a business. So anybody who is entering the pharma, be it in whatever the functions it is, they need to learn this. First is about the product development and how to choose the right product. Second is about how to enter the market with the product. And then the third area would be the supply chain and the distribution, logistics. Very big play.
Dig review to the viewers. So here comes, I mean, the now the fun, or I would say the more interesting part, the rapid fire round, where the idea is to know a bit more about you, your journey, and your perspective. So I'll be asking you some questions, right, and then feel free to answer the way you want to. So let's start. Are you ready?
Sure, sure. On it.
Sure. Okay. So first question is, describe the pharma industry in one word.
Well, I think I would say the capitalism with the socialism.
Very nice. If not pharma, which career you would have pursued?
I wanted to get into telecom, which was the sector when I finished my 12th, excited me the most.
Very nice. If you have to give one advice to your younger self, what that advice would be?
I think be more wiser and patient.
Which you are.
Probably.
One book or resource you recommend every pharma professional.
But if somebody who is entering a corporate career, I think there are a few books I would suggest. Is a McKinsey Way is a very good book to learn about
Yep.
corporate pathways. And then I enjoy reading some of the autobiographies. So Richard Branson, I enjoyed his both of the books very much. Otherwise, I enjoy more on the side of spiritual.
Sure.
But I think a movie one should watch is Cipla's documentary. I think the name is
Uh, Fire in the Blood.
Fire in the Blood. I think somebody who wants to enter into pharma, there are 3 documentaries available on Netflix or the platforms. One is a Fire in the Blood, Love and the Other Drugs. You will enjoy watching that. And then there is a documentary on an Adderall. These things will tell you not about an industry, but what you do not want to do, what you do not want to be, where you are in a position of exploiting your patients, and you shouldn't do it.
Super. Yeah. Your favorite industry innovation or breakthrough in recent years?
Industry innovation, I think the space is an area which is especially the private companies, the Elon Musk, or we saw the Jeff Bezos opening the space travel possible for normal people. I think one day I would want to be on that spacecraft.
Oh, wow. Very nice. A mentor or a colleague who has inspired you the most?
I think the Nishant Saxena, he has been my professor throughout the journey. He has been my mentor. I go-to person. So certainly.
I knew the
But
answer.
another person I would mention is Paul Miller, who was Cipla
Okay.
South
Yeah,
Africa
yeah, yeah.
CEO. I think the kind of an insights and then the strategic he is, I think, one of the a lot of learnings I had from him during the little conversations.
Couldn't agree more. What's a habit or a routine that helps you stay productive?
I think this is an area where I suggest every corporate person to probably start early. I was very late at it. Initially, I wanted to run fast and win ahead of everyone and stay ahead of everyone. But later on, you realize that it is not a 100-meter race, but it is a marathon. And there you need to equally focus and balances on your personal wealth.
Data or instinct? What drives better decision in pharma or be it any other industry?
So it is a balance of it. Data, be it a qualitative, quantitative, helps you read the black and white lines, and then you make the decisions based on your instinct. That reduces the risk of failures.
Okay. Endless meetings or back-to-back emails? Pick your poison.
The biggest side effects we had was back-to-back meetings. Now I find myself way more productive because no reports, fewer meetings. Meetings are also very specific, 15 minutes, 30 minutes of a meeting, and we reach to the point because we talk to owners, entrepreneurs who are also very decision makers and the drivers.
Okay. Coffee or brainstorming? What fuels your creativity?
Brainstorming, certainly. I think talking to the like-minded people. And once again, this is a thought I just had it few days back, and I was preparing a LinkedIn post around it. It's everything about who you are surrounded with at the end of the day.
True. Very true. Last, I think 4 or 5 questions. Micromanagement or lack of direction, which is more frustrating?
Lack of direction, certainly.
This is tough one. PowerPoint or Excel? Which tool feels like your second home?
Beautiful. I read a beautiful post yesterday. Excel obviously has become, Excel is a bottom-up tool where you do the numbers in the details because devil lies in the details, while PowerPoint is a top-down view. Once those works are done, put it in the slides and it gives you a very top-down view, helps you make the decision.
Very nicely put. So both are important, right? The perspectives are different.
Absolutely.
Work smarter or work harder? Which one is actually achievable?
Smarter.
Very true. And last question, I'm giving bit of a spiritual flavor. So how do you define success?
I think it is a satisfaction. It has nothing to do with numbers. I think everybody reaches a financial stability at a certain point of time within their own needs and the criterias. Success, I would define it as a satisfaction. I have seen many people way more satisfied and happier at a much lesser income than probably many of us earn. And I have seen people with a way more earnings and they are still restless. So whatever makes you satisfied as an individually and your family, I think that you should define it as a success.
Super. So you passed the rapid fire round with flying colors. So kudos to you. The answers were not rapid, but we can definitely see a fire in you. So you're going to go places. So now we are at the toughest moment of saying goodbye. So it was really a great interaction. And to all viewers, as Umang mentioned, surround yourself with great people. And BRiK Academy is surrounded by people like Umang, right? So please do follow us on LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram, all the social handles for such interesting talks and such interesting conversations. So I would like to thank you, Umang, for your time and sharing such wonderful perspectives. And I think a viewer's going to like it a lot. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Mihir. But this is a great initiative. I think the one area in our early stage of a career, which I feel not many gets better is a mentoring. And through an initiatives like this, BRiK Academy, getting the right people on the ones, we can be a great help to the coming generation who will be again deciding the future.